The moon hangs heavy in the midnight sky, its light filtering through the dense, twisted branches of the ancient trees. The wind howls through the dark forest, carrying with it the scent of decay and the promise of things far worse than mere death. In this world there are no heroes, only survivors, and the ones who survive, they are the ones who face monsters like no others, with their steel blades and witcher signs, ready to fight what lurks in the dark. But what happens when the line between human and monster begins to blur? What happens when the real terror isn't the monster, but the choices one must make when confronting it? Welcome, my dear adventurers. Tonight we journey into a world unlike any other, a world where monsters are more than creatures of horror. They are the embodiment of every twisted, lost desire the world has ever seen. Here, legends come alive, and each step you take on this journey might lead you deeper into the shadows than you ever thought possible. Now, you might be asking yourself, but what is a monster truly? What makes something worthy of our fear? That's a question that no one, especially not a witcher, can answer easily. To a witcher, monsters are more than just creatures lurking in the darkness. They are reflections of the darkness within humanity itself. Some are twisted by dark magic, cursed into grotesque forms. Others are born of fear, born of grief, born of a forgotten past. And then there are those whose very existence serves as a reminder of the price of survival in a land where morality is as blurred as the line between life and death. But how do we truly understand these creatures, these nightmares that stalk the earth? Is it enough to simply look at them, to judge them by their appearance, by their twisted forms? Or do we need to look deeper? Do we need to question their origins, their purpose, and their very reason for being? For not all monsters look monstrous, and not all monsters wear their intentions on their twisted sleeves. This is where the Witcher's journey begins, not with a fight, not with a sword raised high in defense, but with a choice that will define the difference between survival and annihilation. For some, these monsters are nothing more than an obstacle to overcome, a beast to slay. But for others, the true terror lies in the consequences of facing such beasts. What happens to the soul when it stares into the abyss of darkness? What happens when you realize that the true monster is the one you've become in the process? There are no easy answers here, just as there are no simple victories. Tonight, we dive into the world of the Witcher's Bestiary, a collection of horrors and legends so vast, so terrifying, that the very thought of them can make the bravest soul question their will to continue. From the flesh-eating ghouls that crawl from their graves to the ancient, forgotten horrors that whisper in the winds, each creature is a chapter in the twisted narrative of survival. But it's not just about the monsters themselves. It's about the choices you make when you face them. How much of your humanity do you lose when you've fought too many, when you've killed too many, and when you've seen too much? Can you still tell the difference between friend and foe? Or do you begin to question whether it even matters? And in the quiet of the night, when the sounds of the creatures grow louder and your heart beats faster, one thing becomes clear. These monsters are not just the beasts that roam the lands. They are reflections of the darkness in every soul, and you, dear adventurer, are no different from the monsters you fight. But even in the midst of such overwhelming darkness, there is always a flicker of hope. Perhaps the true journey isn't in slaying the beasts, but in discovering what lies hidden within yourself. What will you become when you face the world's worst nightmares? Will you conquer them, or will you be consumed by the same darkness that created them? Tonight, we explore that very question. Get ready to journey into a world where every corner holds a monster and every shadow hides a secret. A world where survival is a battle not just against beasts, but against your own soul. Tonight, dear adventurer, we delve deep into the world of The Witcher, a world where the true monsters might just be the ones within us all. Monsters Defined, a guide to the Bestiary of The Witcher. In the world of The Witcher, monsters are not merely terrifying creatures lurking in the shadows. They are the very essence of chaos, crafted by the forces of magic, curses, and primal instincts. They come in many forms, each one more dangerous than the last. But how does one even begin to understand such creatures? How does Geralt, the Witcher, identify them, hunt them, and ultimately survive them? The answer lies in the Bestiary, a comprehensive catalog of creatures ranging from the grotesque to the utterly terrifying, classified by their origins, behaviors, and natures. It is a tool that any witcher, like Geralt, must master. But this is not just a list of monsters. It's an understanding of the world itself. A world where the line between man and beast is not always clear. In this world, every monster has a story, and every story is a reflection of the darkness that runs through it. The Witcher Bestiary, categorizing monsters. Monsters in the Witcher universe are categorized based on their origin, behavior, and nature. It's not just their appearance that matters. It's their purpose, their history, and their relation to the world. This classification is essential for a witcher to understand what they're up against, as every type of monster requires a different approach. Necrophages. The first category that witchers encounter are the necrophages, beasts born from the rotting remains of the dead. These creatures are often found in graveyards, battlefields, or anywhere where death lingers in the air. Ghouls, for example, are the most common of the necrophages. They are ravenous creatures, drawn to fresh corpses and the remains of the dead, feasting on the flesh of those unfortunate enough to fall in their path. Their behavior is driven purely by hunger, their movements ferocious as they scurry across the earth, searching for anything that might satisfy their insatiable cravings. Cursed ones. Then there are the cursed ones, tragic beings who were once human, but are now twisted and deformed by dark forces. These creatures are born of curses, either the result of magic or supernatural influence, and they embody a deeper sadness, a loss of humanity. Werewolves are the most iconic examples, cursed to transform into deadly, ravenous beasts under the full moon. However, they are not the only ones. Many of these cursed beings have lost their sense of self, reduced to mere shadows of their former lives, hunting and killing without reason. Their tortured existence is a constant battle between their human nature and the brutal savage instincts that the curse has forced upon them. Relics. Relics are ancient beings, deeply connected to the land itself. These creatures are often tied to nature, representing forgotten forces of power, and they are fiercely territorial. Fiends, for example, are massive, violent beings with horns and a terrifying presence. They dwell in deep forests or mountain caves, far away from human settlements, and are often the result of ancient magic that has long since faded from memory. To face one of these relics is to face the land's ancient wrath, a force that doesn't care for human lives and will stop at nothing to defend its domain. Draconids. Draconids are creatures of both legend and terror, such as Wyverns, Basilisks, and Griffins. These beasts, though not true dragons, are apex predators in their own right. They are swift, brutal, and often possess a cunning that matches their strength. Unlike the mindless ghouls or the tortured cursed ones, Draconids have a sense of awareness and intelligence, making them even more dangerous. Their ability to strategize, coupled with their overwhelming physical power, makes them formidable opponents for any witcher who dares to confront them. Specters and elementals. In addition to these creatures, there are specters, ghostly beings that haunt the living and refuse to let go of their past lives. Wraiths, noon wraiths, and other such spirits are born from grief, anger, and unresolved emotions. These specters are not merely undead. They are the echoes of lost souls, seeking vengeance or closure. Likewise, elementals are beings of pure magic, such as golems and jinn. These creatures embody raw power, immune to conventional weapons, and requiring a witcher to use both cunning and powerful magic to defeat them. 6. Hybrids and insectoids. There are also hybrids, creatures born of different species, often possessing a mix of the most deadly traits from each. Harpies, sirens, and succubi fall into this category, each one more unpredictable and dangerous than the last. And then there are the insectoids, such as the Kikimora, which are some of the most relentless and aggressive creatures in the world. These monsters build vast underground nests, where they live in swarms, attacking anything that crosses their path. Their unity and precision make them one of the most deadly threats in the land. Lore and origins. The stories behind the monsters. But these categories are not merely for identification. They hold the key to understanding the monsters in The Witcher. The monsters are not random. They are born of old magic, ancient curses, and forgotten history. The Witcher world is steeped in folklore and superstition, passed down through generations of peasants and scholars alike. Each monster has a story, a reason for its existence. Take the ghoul, for example. The tale goes that ghouls were once humans who were forced into cannibalism, their minds twisted by their own depravity until they could no longer recognize their own humanity. They are not just creatures. They are a grim reminder of the consequences of survival, of what it takes to endure in a world that has forgotten mercy. Then there's the Ban, Noon, Wraith, a spirit born of grief, wandering the fields in search of its unfulfilled desires. It is said to be the ghost of a woman who died too soon, betrayed before her wedding, her life stolen from her. Now, she dances in the fields, seeking vengeance against anyone who dares to witness her sorrow. The Wraith is not just a terror of the night. She is a manifestation of the pain and brokenness that can linger long after death. These stories, these legends, are woven into the fabric of the world. They shape how the creatures are understood and how Geralt encounters them. For a witcher, it is not just about slaying beasts. It's about understanding the history, the curse, the pain that gave birth to each monster. Only then can he truly understand how to defeat them, or if defeating them is even possible. In a world where magic reigns and ancient creatures walk the earth, it's no wonder that Geralt, the Witcher, finds himself caught between the desire to protect humanity and the reality of a world that often makes him question what it means to be human. The monsters of The Witcher are not simply creatures to be slain. They are the darkness that hides beneath the surface, the reflection of every shadow in our hearts. They are both the destroyers and the victims of a world that has forgotten what it means to be whole. And in the end, Geralt's greatest battle is not against these monsters, but against the very nature of the world that created them. Necrophages and the undead, the ghouls and their kin, in the darkest corners of the Witcher world, where the earth itself seems to groan under the weight of death and decay, there lurk creatures born of the very essence of rot. These are the Necrophages, a family of monsters that feast on the dead, and occasionally on the living. Among them, the ghouls stand out as one of the most grotesque and feared creatures that haunt the battlefields, graveyards, and forgotten places where death has left its mark. The ghouls and their kin. The ghoul is a creature that thrives in the aftermath of death. It is a scavenger drawn to battlefields, graveyards, and other places where the dead rest. But the ghoul is not just a mindless eater of carrion. It is a twisted reflection of something much darker. As the remains of soldiers, peasants, and travelers are left behind, the ghouls come out of the shadows to feast on what remains. Their twisted, hunched bodies move unnaturally, crawling on all fours like monstrous animals, with grotesque, elongated limbs and jaws that snap with hunger. They mock the shape of men, once human, now corrupted beyond recognition. Ghouls are not alone in their gruesome existence. Larger and more terrifying creatures, known as gravers, belong to the same family. These creatures are a more powerful variant of ghouls, even more twisted and repulsive. Unlike their smaller kin, gravers are not simply scavengers. They are hunters, capable of stalking and capturing prey, dragging them back to their dark lairs. Their monstrous size and strength make them formidable opponents, and they are often found in greater numbers, making them an even deadlier threat. But even in the shadow of the gravers, ghouls are no small threat. They hunt in packs, their ferocity and pack mentality making them dangerous to anyone who happens to be caught in their territory. They are not only scavengers of the dead. When hunger strikes, they have no qualms about turning on the living. The ghouls' habits and their deadly nature. The ghoul is, at its core, a creature driven by hunger, a hunger that knows no bounds. It is not content with scavenging the dead. If the opportunity arises, it will turn on the living, seeking fresh flesh to tear into. Ghouls primarily hunt at night, when the darkness provides them with cover. The pale moonlight casts eerie shadows across the land, and in the quiet of the night the only sound is the scrabble of their claws against the earth. They are opportunistic hunters, and they are drawn to places where death lingers, battlefields, abandoned villages, and graveyards. The scent of death is their signal, and they follow it, like predators tracking their prey. They feast on what is left behind. But should they grow hungry enough, they will strike at living creatures that wander too close. Their hunger is insatiable, and they will consume anything that offers sustenance, human or animal. Ghouls have a particular affinity for hunting in packs. Alone, a ghoul is a relatively weak opponent, easy to handle with the right preparations. But when they gather in groups, they become a terrifying force. Their pack mentality allows them to overwhelm even the most prepared of opponents. They are relentless, swarming their prey with the savage, chaotic attacks that leave no room for defense. If one ghoul is wounded, the others will become more aggressive, charging at their prey without mercy, striking as a single, unified force. Timus ghouls' aggressive nature is further amplified by their ability to heal quickly. A wound to one of their bodies will often heal rapidly, making them difficult to put down permanently. This regeneration makes the ghoul a more dangerous adversary than many other monsters, as they can quickly recover from attacks and continue to fight without hesitation. Geralt, the Witcher, knows all too well how dangerous these creatures can be. The first step in dealing with ghouls is understanding their behavior. Their pack mentality means that Geralt must be cautious in his approach, always keeping an eye out for the others lurking nearby. In battle, he must remain calm and focused, lest the ghouls swarm him from every direction. To combat ghouls, Geralt relies on a combination of his Witcher training, his steel sword, and his magic, the Axii. Sign is particularly useful in dealing with the ghouls' frenzied aggression. Axii works by briefly calming their minds, slowing their movements, and allowing Geralt to gain the upper hand. In the chaos of a battle, a quick use of Axii can give Geralt the precious seconds needed to isolate a single ghoul and take it down before the others can close in. The ghoul's weaknesses, though, are straightforward. Fire and silver are among the few things that can cause significant harm to these creatures. Fire burns away their decaying flesh, while silver, a metal known for its purifying properties, disrupts their unnatural state. The silver blade is essential for Geralt in his battle against the undead, as it can slice through the ghoul's grotesque form, severing the limbs and causing permanent damage. A ghoul's lair, the ultimate danger. A ghoul's lair is a place of death, a dark, fetid cave or crypt where bones are stacked like forgotten memories. These creatures do not merely kill and eat. They drag their kills back to their lairs, storing them for later. These stashes are not only a sign of their hunger, but a testament to their terrifying nature. The lair becomes a tomb, a silent memorial to all who have fallen victim to the ghoul's insatiable hunger. Geralt knows that when venturing into such places, it is crucial to proceed with caution. A ghoul's lair is a den of madness, where the air smells of rot and death, and every corner is darkened by the looming threat of attack. This is where the Witcher's skills are truly tested, not just in combat, but in his ability to adapt and survive in an environment where death constantly presses in from all sides. As Geralt faces these creatures, he is reminded of the price of survival in a world like this. It is not just the battle with the creatures that makes him a Witcher. It is the understanding that, in this world, monsters are never truly gone. They are only waiting, buried beneath the surface, ready to emerge when the time is right. And when they do, Geralt will be ready to face them, as he has done countless times before. For in the Witcher world, to be alive is to face the darkness head-on. Cursed ones, a transformation into monsters. In the bleak and twisted corners of the Witcher world, monsters are not always born from dark magic or monstrous lineage. Sometimes they are made. Cursed ones, as they are known, are not creatures of mindless hunger like the ghouls, nor are they born from the shadows of forgotten legends. These are beings who were once human, but have been irreversibly transformed by dark forces, cursed to live out their days in a monstrous form. They are tragic, tormented souls, victims of fate, magic, and the cruelty of the world around them. The tragic fate of cursed beasts. The cursed ones are some of the most sorrowful monsters Geralt faces in his journey. They are not the mindless killers that so many other beasts are. They were once people, lovers, children, parents, who have now been twisted by curses that were often placed upon them without their consent. Some of these curses come from powerful sorcerers seeking vengeance, others from tragic accidents, but all share one common theme: a loss of humanity. At the heart of this curse are the werewolves, perhaps the most iconic and tragic of the cursed ones. Werewolves are not born as beasts. They were once humans, cursed to transform into savage wolves under the light of the full moon. This transformation strips them of their humanity, replacing their once kind nature with a ferocity and hunger that cannot be quenched. Some werewolves can control their transformations, born with the curse in their bloodline, able to shift at will. But for the cursed ones, those turned against their will, the transformation is uncontrollable, a harrowing event that happens once a month, often leading to the loss of all rational thought. For many, this transformation is a curse worse than death. Imagine being trapped in a body that is not your own, with the instincts of a wild animal, battling the fragments of your human mind. You may recognize the faces of your loved ones in the crowd, but you will never again be able to touch them. You may remember the joy of a warm hearth, but all you can feel now is the hunger for blood. The curse makes no distinction between those who deserve it and those who do not. It is a cruel, unyielding fate that casts a shadow over the soul, and there are others too, beings who were once human, but have been cursed into nightmarish forms. Perhaps they were once kind-hearted folk, or innocent children, but they now wander as twisted horrors, bound by their curses to forever chase the shadows of their past lives. One such creature is the Striga, a woman cursed before birth to become a monstrous beast, forever tormented by her fate. Born out of a terrible curse, the Striga is a creature of uncontrollable rage, a horrific hybrid of human and beast, doomed to live in a state of eternal suffering. The hunt for cursed monsters. The fight against cursed ones is not like any other battle that Geralt faces. It is not just about drawing his silver sword and striking down the creature in front of him. No, these monsters are different. They are not mindless beasts. They retain a piece of their humanity, even as they fight against the monstrous instincts that have taken over their bodies. And that is what makes them so dangerous. A werewolf, for example, is not merely an animalistic creature. It retains the intelligence of the person it once was. In the heat of battle, Geralt is not simply fighting a mindless predator. He is fighting an individual who, somewhere deep inside, is still struggling to hold on to their humanity. The tragedy of it all is that the more Geralt fights, the more he might be killing the very soul trapped inside that monstrous form. But that is the curse of the Witcher. A Witcher is not just a monster slayer. He is the one who must carry out these executions for the greater good, even when it tears at his own heart. And that is what makes the cursed ones so haunting. Geralt cannot afford the luxury of empathy when he faces them. He must be cold, calculating, and precise, for any hesitation could result in death, not just for him, but for the innocent lives that might be in the path of the beast. However, the task is never simple. The human intelligence within the Cursed One makes these creatures unpredictable. They are capable of reasoning, of strategizing, and in the case of werewolves, even commanding wolves to fight alongside them. Their ferocity and their understanding of human tactics make them especially dangerous, even for a seasoned witcher. One of the most difficult aspects of fighting cursed ones is the challenge of understanding them. A witcher like Geralt must look beyond the beast before him and uncover the tragic story of the curse. He must find a way to break the curse, if possible, or else face the grim task of slaying what remains of the human soul trapped within the monster's body. It is a fight against time, a race to defeat the beast before the curse consumes all that is left. And even when Geralt succeeds in killing these creatures, there is no satisfaction, no sense of victory. There is only the grim realization that, in a world such as this, even monsters have stories. Even monsters have their own tragedies. They were not born as beasts. They were made. In the end, the true battle is not simply about destroying the cursed creatures, but understanding them. It is not just about striking down the monsters, but about facing the darkness that resides in every soul. A darkness that can turn the purest heart into something twisted and horrific. The curse of the cursed ones is not just about their monstrous form. It is a reflection of the fragile nature of humanity and the price one pays when magic and fate combine in ways that no mortal can control. In this world of The Witcher, the fight for survival is not just a battle against monsters. It is a battle against the forces that twist and warp the very essence of what it means to be human. And for Geralt, the true curse is not just the beasts he faces, but the realization that sometimes monsters are made, not born. And when he fights them, he fights against a fate that could one day turn him into one of them. Eldritch horrors and supernatural beasts, facing the unseen and the unknown. The world of The Witcher is filled with creatures that defy the very laws of nature, beings so ancient and otherworldly that their very existence causes the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural to blur. These eldritch horrors and supernatural beasts are not simply dangerous because of their physical might or predatory instincts. They are creatures of pure terror, embodying the unknown forces of the universe. Geralt, as a witcher, faces these beings with a deep understanding of the unnatural, armed with both his blade and the magic he has mastered. But even he cannot fully comprehend the horrors these creatures bring. The relics and eldritch beasts. Though relics are the prime examples of ancient and supernatural beings that have lived long before humanity ever settled on the continent. These creatures are tied deeply to the land itself, representing powers that are older than the very foundations of civilization. Fiends, for instance, are massive, formidable creatures whose origins are linked to ancient forces of nature. These beasts are deeply connected to the wild, their appearance a terrifying combination of brute strength and primal energy. They reside in remote, desolate places, forests, mountains, and dark caves, far from human settlements. When they emerge, they are forces of nature, capable of annihilating entire villages with their sheer power. These creatures often defy explanation, existing outside the confines of known magic and even the boundaries of reality. Geralt has encountered many such beings in his long career as a witcher, beasts that seem to have no true form, their presence a manifestation of terror. One such entity is the fiend, an ancient creature that seems to be a living embodiment of the wild, uncaring forces of nature, towering over men with gnarled horns and an otherworldly presence. Fiends strike fear into the hearts of even the bravest of men. Their very gaze is enough to send shivers down the spine, as they seem to exist on a plane that is far beyond human comprehension. Fiends are often associated with deep, primal places, where nature has remained untouched by human hands. To face such a creature is to confront the very essence of chaos, the violent forces of the earth itself. Their power is immense, their strength unparalleled, but their greatest weapon is not their physical form, it is their connection to the land. Geralt, in his long years of experience, knows that the best way to combat such creatures is not through brute force, but by understanding their connection to the world around them. But not all supernatural creatures are as physical as the fiends. There are the spirits and otherworldly entities that haunt the night, appearing as grotesque and terrifying apparitions. These beings are not bound by the laws of physics or nature. They are beings of pure magic, their presence an invasion from another realm. These eldritch horrors are born from a different reality, and their very existence threatens to unravel the fabric of the world as it is known. Wraiths, noon wraiths, and other cursed spirits are prime examples of these supernatural monsters. They are beings of pure, unrelenting hatred, driven by their unfinished business in life or their undying desire for revenge. These spirits are often tied to specific locations, cursed places where death, grief, or betrayal linger in the air like poison. They haunt old ruins, abandoned battlefields, and cursed sites where the natural order has been disturbed. Their motives may be unclear, but one thing is certain. They are dangerous, and they do not simply fade away with time. They are ageless, existing beyond the limitations of mortal life, bound to the earth by dark magic and unearthly power. Witcher magic versus supernatural forces. To confront these eldritch horrors and supernatural beasts, Geralt must rely not only on his physical prowess and the sharpness of his blade, but on the ancient magic he wields as a witcher. The witcher's magic, known as signs, are a fundamental part of his arsenal when dealing with creatures that are more than just flesh and blood. These signs are not grand spells or world-bending sorcery, but quick, effective bursts of magic designed for survival rather than spectacle. Each sign serves a unique purpose, providing Geralt with the tools necessary to face these supernatural beings head-on. The versatility and power of these signs make them indispensable in the fight against eldritch horrors. Ard. The telekinetic force of Ard is an invaluable tool when fighting creatures with immense power. such as fiends. A single blast can send even the largest beasts flying, breaking their momentum and creating an opening for an attack. In the face of spirits or ghosts, art can be used to push them back or even dispel their ethereal forms, buying Geralt the precious seconds he needs to strike. Igni. Fire is one of the most effective weapons Geralt has against many supernatural creatures. The Igni sign, when cast, creates a burst of flame that can burn through even the most ethereal of beings. Spirits, though intangible, are vulnerable to the purifying power of fire. It is also effective against monsters like fiends, whose grotesque bodies are vulnerable to the intense heat of the flames. The flames not only cause pain, but can also disrupt the creature's concentration, forcing them to fight with greater ferocity. Gwen. Against the supernatural, Gwen acts as Geralt's shield, protecting him from damage. Many Eldritch horrors can attack with more than just physical force. They can manipulate the environment, cast powerful curses, or strike from afar. Gwen provides Geralt with a magical barrier that absorbs damage, ensuring his survival when facing off against creatures with overwhelming strength or supernatural abilities. Axii. When dealing with creatures whose minds are sharp and capable of understanding strategy, Axii becomes essential. This mind-affecting sign can calm or confuse enemies, turning the tide in Geralt's favor against spirits or more intelligent monsters. Axii can disrupt their focus, creating a momentary lapse that allows Geralt to land a killing blow. In a battle with a fiend, for example, Axii could weaken the creature's will to fight, making it easier to control the flow of the fight. Yrden. Against the supernatural, the Yrden sign is particularly useful. It creates a magical trap on the ground that slows down and weakens enemies who pass through it. Against eldritch horrors that exist outside of the physical realm, such as wraiths, Yrden creates a field where these creatures become tangible, allowing Geralt to engage them with his sword. Without it, these otherworldly entities would be nearly impossible to harm. In the battle against eldritch horrors and supernatural beings, the combination of these signs, along with Geralt's combat skills and knowledge of the creatures he faces, is what allows him to survive. Each sign serves a specific purpose, and using them in concert is essential to overcoming the threats these beings present. However, even with all of his magic and skill, Geralt knows that he is still only human, standing on the precipice of a world where reality itself can fracture, where creatures from beyond the veil threaten to unravel everything. These monsters are not just threats to be destroyed. They are reminders of the fragility of human existence, the vulnerability of the world that Geralt seeks to protect. Yet, in his relentless pursuit of survival, Geralt continues to confront them, one battle at a time, with the power of his magic and the unyielding will to live. Draconids, the mighty Wyverns and Basilisks. In the world of The Witcher, there are monsters that rise above the rest, creatures of immense strength, fearsome power, and ancient origins. Among these apex predators are the Draconids, a family of creatures that embodies raw, untamed nature. Wyverns, Basilisks, and Griffins, while differing in appearance and behavior, share a common trait. They are deadly, territorial, and ruthless in their pursuit of survival. These creatures are not only some of the most dangerous that Geralt encounters, but they also represent a primal force of nature that can only be matched by their viciousness and intelligence. Apex, predators of the Witcher world. Draconids are a breed of monster that carries the weight of legends on their wings. They are not true dragons. These creatures lack the size and wisdom of the ancient dragons that roam the world of fantasy. Instead, they are fiercely territorial apex predators with the physical prowess of predators and the deadly instincts of their dragon kin. Though they may not command the skies like dragons, they still inspire terror in anyone who crosses their path. The Wyvern is one of the most iconic draconids in the Witcher universe. With its powerful wings and sharp claws, the Wyvern is a swift and agile predator. These creatures can glide through the air, swooping down upon their prey with terrifying precision. Unlike Griffins, which share the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle, Wyverns are true flying predators with a sleek reptilian body designed for speed and efficiency in the hunt. Their claws and sharp talons are capable of tearing through armor, and their venomous bite can leave a lasting wound that only silver can treat. While the Wyvern is certainly a formidable opponent, it is the Basilisk that truly stands as one of the most terrifying draconids in the Witcher world. The Basilisk is a creature that combines the ferocity of a dragon with the cunning of a serpent. It is a lizard-like beast with powerful talons, a venomous bite, and the ability to unleash a deadly breath. Basilisks are most commonly found in caves, dungeons, or rocky badlands where they hunt in isolation, making them especially dangerous to those who dare to venture into their territory. Griffins, too, belong to this elite group of apex predators, though their behavior differs slightly from that of the Wyverns and Basilisks, known for their loyalty and territorial nature. Griffins are not just predators. They are protectors of their territory, defending their nests with incredible tenacity. They are capable of long flights and are often found in mountainous areas where they can keep watch over the land below. Their attacks are swift and precise, using both their talons and beak to tear through their prey. However, unlike Wyverns and Basilisks, Griffins are more likely to be seen in groups, often defending their territory with family members. Despite their differences, these creatures share a common trait. They are survivors. They live in harsh, unforgiving environments, and only the strongest can claim their place as apex predators. In the Witcher world, a fight against a Draconid is more than just a battle for survival. It is a test of skill, endurance, and wit. The hunt for basilisks. Among all the Draconids, the Basilisk Press stands out as one of the most challenging monsters Geralt faces. Its venomous breath is one of its deadliest traits, capable of paralyzing and killing any creature unfortunate enough to be caught in its path. The basilisk's appearance is enough to strike fear into any would-be hunter. A reptilian body with a long tail, claws, and a large bird-like beak. Its toxic breath can melt flesh and cause incredible pain, making the basilisk a truly dangerous adversary for any witcher. The basilisk is territorial and tends to stay close to its nest, where it can strike out at any intruder with devastating speed. The beast waits motionless, blending into its surroundings, until the moment is right for the strike. Its hunting style is akin to that of a true predator. It waits patiently for its prey to approach, then unleashes a sudden and violent attack. A basilisk does not waste energy on unnecessary movements. It is a patient and calculating hunter. One of the most notorious traits of the basilisk is its ability to breathe venomous gas, unlike the fiery breath of dragons, the basilisk's breath is a concentrated toxic cloud capable of choking and killing anyone within its range. This breath is not just deadly, it is corrosive, eating away at flesh, bone, and metal alike. The basilisk's breath can kill within moments, making it imperative that any hunter faced with this beast take extreme precautions. Geralt's method for combating the basilisk is one that relies not only on his swordsmanship, but on his deep knowledge of the creature's behavior and weaknesses. As with many Draconids, the key to defeating a basilisk lies in exploiting its vulnerabilities. Geralt knows that fire is one of the most effective weapons against these creatures. The Inni sign, which creates bursts of flame, is incredibly useful when facing the basilisk. The intense heat from Igni not only burns the basilisk, but also weakens its venomous breath, preventing it from using its most lethal weapon. Silver, too, plays a critical role in Geralt's battle against these Draconids. The basilisk's scales are tough, resistant to many forms of attack, but silver is one of the few metals that can penetrate the creature's hide. Geralt uses a specially crafted silver sword, honed to perfection, to strike at the basilisk's weak points. Its throat, underbelly, and eyes. These strikes, combined with the intense fire of Igni, give Geralt the upper hand in what would otherwise be a one-sided battle. However, even with all his skills and weapons, Geralt must be prepared for the basilisk's tactics. The creature is swift, capable of leaping into the air with terrifying speed to avoid Geralt's blows. Its venomous breath can disorient and paralyze Geralt, making it all the more important to keep his distance while looking for the right opportunity to strike. Surviving the hunt. The hunt for a basilisk is not for the faint of heart. It requires precision, strategy, and an understanding of the creature's behavior. Geralt knows that to succeed, he must be prepared for the basilisk's unpredictable attacks, its venomous breath, and its territorial instincts. This is not just a fight for survival. It is a fight to overcome the primal forces that the basilisk represents. In the world of The Witcher, where creatures like wyverns, basilisks, and griffins roam free, Geralt is constantly reminded of the raw power of nature and the creatures that inhabit it. Yet, with every battle, he grows stronger, his skills sharper, and his understanding of the world more complete. For the Witcher, the hunt is never just about slaying a beast. It's about surviving the impossible, outwitting the powerful, and proving that even in a world of unimaginable creatures, a human can stand tall. Vampires, deadly beauty, and cunning. In the dark and twisted world of The Witcher, vampires are among the most dangerous and enigmatic creatures that Geralt faces. Not the mindless, tragic bloodsuckers of folklore. These vampires are cunning, powerful, and often far more intelligent than they appear. From the horrifying, ravenous creatures that emerge in the dead of night, to the sophisticated, elegant predators that can blend seamlessly into human society, vampires in The Witcher embody both beauty and danger. Some, like the lower vampires, are little more than beasts driven by hunger, while others, such as the higher vampires, possess a terrifying intelligence and near immortality. Vampires beyond the folklore. In traditional folklore, vampires are often depicted as mindless creatures, lurking in the shadows and preying on the living to quench their insatiable thirst for blood. These creatures are typically seen as cursed souls, grotesque in appearance, and driven solely by their need to feed. However, in the Witcher universe, vampires are far more complex. The lower vampires, such as the Fleeter, Amar, and Vishor, are brutal, instinctive, and animalistic, beasts that rely on blood to survive, but whose intelligence is limited. These creatures are not subtle in their ways. They hunt, kill, and drain their victims in the most savage manner possible. But not all vampires are the same. The true horror comes from the higher vampires, like the Bruxa, Alp, and Brux, who possess the ability to blend in with humanity, walking among men without suspicion. These vampires have intelligence, grace, and the ability to manipulate their surroundings. They are not just hunters, but predators who play with their prey, luring them into dangerous situations with their beauty and charm. The higher vampires are rarely seen, as they prefer to operate from the shadows, manipulating those around them to serve their desires. They are not bound by the limitations of their lower cousins. They are immortals who can regenerate, heal rapidly from injuries, and possess abilities that make them nearly impossible to kill. Among these higher vampires, Bruxa stand out as one of the most terrifying and cunning predators. These vampires are often portrayed as beautiful women, seductively alluring, but beneath that beauty lies an insatiable thirst for blood and a deadly strength that can overpower even the most experienced hunter. The dangers of encountering a Bruxa. The Bruxa is a higher vampire, a creature that transcends the brutish behavior of its lower kin. Though their appearance is often that of a beautiful woman, their true nature is far more sinister. They possess a remarkable ability to control the minds of others, making them even more dangerous than simple, bloodthirsty killers. They can mesmerize their victims with a mere glance, bending them to their will. A Brux's voice can be as hypnotic as it is deadly, luring men into dangerous situations, where their strength and supernatural abilities can be fully unleashed. The allure of the Bruxa is as much a weapon as their fangs. This vampire is not just a predator, it is a manipulator, using charm and seduction to control its prey before attacking. What makes the Bruxa so terrifying is not just its ability to manipulate, but its incredible speed and strength. In combat, a Bruxa is almost impossible to track. It can move with lightning speed, darting between shadows and striking from unexpected angles. Its claws and fangs can tear through flesh with ease, leaving its victim with little chance to escape. Geralt has fought many beasts, but few are as elusive and deadly as the Bruxa. Its agility, combined with its mental prowess, makes it a terrifying foe, one that will not hesitate to strike at its prey when they least expect it. The Bruxa's speed is unparalleled, able to move from one place to another almost instantaneously. It uses its supernatural strength to overpower its victims, draining them of blood and leaving them as nothing more than husks, drained of life. However, even when Geralt faces such a powerful opponent, he knows that brute force alone is not enough to defeat her. The Bruxa's power comes not just from her physical strength, but from her mind. And that's where Geralt must be careful. A head-to-head confrontation may lead to the Witcher's downfall if he underestimates the vampire's ability to manipulate him. Geralt's strategies for combat. To face a Bruxa, Geralt must rely on a variety of strategies and tools. One of the most effective means of combating these higher vampires is the use of moon dust, a special powder that disrupts the Bruxa's ability to transform or teleport. When thrown into the air, moon dust creates a cloud that hinders the creature's movements, making it vulnerable to attack. This magical powder is critical in the fight against vampires, as it prevents them from using their most dangerous abilities, like disappearing into thin air and reappearing behind their prey. Another essential weapon in Geralt's arsenal is vampire oil. This oil is specially crafted to coat Geralt's silver sword, enhancing its effectiveness against the vampire's tough hide. The oil's unique properties allow it to break down the supernatural resistance that vampires possess, making it easier for Geralt to land a deadly strike. Applying the oil to his sword is crucial for Geralt to deal any meaningful damage to the Bruxa, as their supernatural durability makes them resistant to most physical attacks. In addition to these tools, Geralt's signs are an important aspect of his battle tactics against the Bruxa. The Igni sign, which produces a burst of fire, is especially effective in dealing with vampires. Vampires, like the Bruxa, are susceptible to fire. Its purifying qualities can burn through their supernatural protection, forcing them to retreat or perish. The Ardent sign is another valuable tool, allowing Geralt to unleash a telekinetic blast that can knock the Bruxa off balance and create an opening for a more decisive attack. Outwitting the Predator. The key to defeating a Bruxa is not just physical combat, but outwitting the Predator. Geralt must be constantly aware of her tricks, her ability to manipulate the environment, and her capacity to exploit his weaknesses. He must use his speed and agility to match her lightning-fast movements, all while carefully managing his resources, his oil, potions, and signs, ensuring that he does not fall prey to her seductive influence. Geralt knows that to fight a Bruxa is to face a creature that is as intelligent as it is deadly. She is not a mindless beast. She is a predator that plays with its prey, lures them in, and strikes when they least expect it. In the end, Geralt's success against the Bruxa depends not just on his sword skills, but on his ability to outsmart the vampire and use everything in his power to tip the balance in his favor. The world of The Witcher is one of endless danger, where creatures like the Bruxa walk the line between the beautiful and the terrifying. In the end, Geralt's survival is a testament to his will to keep fighting no matter the cost. But for every monster he defeats, there is always another lurking in the shadows, waiting, watching, and ready to strike. Specters and ghosts, the haunting of the Witcher world. In the shadowed corners of the Witcher world, where the veil between life and death is perilously thin, there exist creatures that defy the very laws of nature. Specters, ghosts, and wraiths. These spectral beings are not simply the restless spirits of the dead. They are trapped in a perpetual state of agony, their unfinished business or untold grief binding them to the mortal realm. They are not just predators, but tragic figures, driven by the weight of their past lives and the unfulfilled desires that keep them from finding peace. For Geralt, these encounters are often more than just battles of physical strength. They are confrontations with the very essence of sorrow and torment. The Noon Wraith, born of grief. Among the most haunting of these spectral beings is the Noon Wraith, a creature whose origins are as tragic as her dance of death. The Noon Wraith is born from the grief of those wronged in life, their unresolved pain twisting their soul into a form that can never find peace. Most notably, the Noon Wraith is the spirit of a woman who was betrayed, murdered, or abandoned in life, usually right before an important event, like a wedding. This tragic death, filled with regret and anger, binds the Wraith to the world of the living, forcing it to roam in search of vengeance. In the daytime, the Noon Wraith appears as a shimmering, almost ethereal figure, a sun-bleached woman clad in tattered clothing. Her presence is unsettling, as she seems to glide through the world with no purpose other than to enact her terrible fate. But as the sun reaches its zenith, the Noon Wraith's true nature emerges. She becomes more than just a shimmering figure. She begins to weave her deadly waltz. Her dance is not one of beauty or grace, but of death, as she pulls her victims into the rhythm of her sorrow. Those unlucky enough to witness this Wraith's dance are doomed to be trapped in her eerie waltz, forced to move faster and faster until they collapse from exhaustion, only to die by her hands as the day fades away. The Noon Wraith's curse is not just an element of tragedy, it is a weapon. Those who encounter her are pulled into her sorrowful existence, unable to escape the inevitable conclusion of their own death. Her relentless need to avenge the wrongs done to her is the very thing that sustains her existence, feeding off the life force of those who happen to cross her path. She will not leave until she has claimed her next victim, often choosing those who remind her of the one who wronged her, or those who linger too long in her cursed domain. The Specters' connection to the living. The Specters and Wraiths of the Witcher world are not merely vengeful spirits. They are tragic remnants of the living, bound to the world of the living by their unfinished business or broken promises. Every wraith, ghost, and specter is a soul that could not find rest, unable to pass on to the afterlife due to the ties they have to the world they left behind. Whether it is a betrayal, a murder, or a broken promise, these spirits linger in the physical world, seeking resolution or revenge. Take, for example, the here, Noon Wraith. Born from the cruel fate of a woman who was betrayed just before her wedding day, the Wraith's soul is bound to the site of her death, doomed to relive the pain of her final moments. She is a victim of an unjust world, her anger and sorrow keeping her from finding peace. The same holds true for many other specters Geralt encounters throughout his journey. Whether it is the ghost of a betrayed lover or a victim of war, these spirits are bound to the mortal realm because of their unresolved emotional wounds. Their suffering perpetuates their existence, turning them from tragic figures into relentless predators. Specters are often tied to the places where they died, ruins, battlefields, and the homes where they were wronged. These locations become haunted, infused with the residual energy of the tragedy that occurred there. The connection between these spirits and the living is profound. Their pain is as much a part of the physical world as it is their spiritual existence. They are not just looking to harm those who cross their path. They are driven by the need for closure, to have their stories told and their wrongs righted. In a sense, they are as much prisoners of their own grief as they are predators. Geralt's combat with specters the use of signs, and quick thinking. For Geralt, facing specters is as much about understanding their nature as it is about battling them. These spirits are not simply monsters to be slain. They are tragic souls who cannot be simply cut down with a sword. To defeat them, Geralt must first understand what binds them to the world of the living, and then use that knowledge to break their connection to the mortal realm. Geralt uses his signs to combat specters, with each sign playing a vital role in weakening or dispelling their supernatural presence. The Yrden sign, for example, is one of the most important tools when dealing with wraiths and other ethereal beings. Yrden creates a magical trap on the ground that slows down and weakens supernatural entities, turning them from intangible, ghostly figures into more physical beings that can be harmed. For specters like the Noon Wraith, this is crucial, as it allows Geralt to strike them with his silver sword. But physical combat alone is never enough. Geralt also relies on his Quenbi sign for protection. Specters often attack with curses and draining spells, trying to weaken Geralt's resolve. Quen creates a magical shield that absorbs damage, protecting Geralt from these spiritual attacks. When dealing with spirits, Quen is invaluable for ensuring that Geralt remains in one piece long enough to finish the battle. A final blow for the spirit. Geralt's final method of combating specters is to understand the root of their grief or unfinished business. Some spirits can only be put to rest once their story has been told or their wrongs have been righted. In these cases, Geralt must delve into the spirit's past, uncovering the cause of their torment and bringing it to light. Whether it is finding the body of a long-dead lover or retrieving a cursed object, Geralt knows that there is often more to the fight than just combat. In the case of the Noon Wraith, it may be a matter of acknowledging the betrayal she suffered in life, while in others, it is about ensuring that the dead are honored and given their proper rest. In the end, The Witcher presents not just a world of monsters, but one filled with souls trapped between life and death, spirits whose torment mirrors the injustices they endured in life. Geralt's journey is not just one of physical combat, but of understanding the human heart in all its tragic, unyielding nature. The specters he faces are not just enemies to be defeated. They are reminders that even in a world full of monsters, the greatest battles are often those fought within the soul itself. The undead, drowners, and the swamp. Horror. In the world of The Witcher, the undead are not confined to the decaying remnants of human bodies. Some of the most horrifying monsters Geralt faces emerge from the murky depths of swamps and sewers, waiting for the opportunity to drag their victims into the watery grave they call home. The drowners are among the most iconic of these creatures, grotesque, waterlogged horrors that dwell in the shadows, hidden beneath the surface of the world. These creatures are as relentless as they are terrifying, and the environments they inhabit only serve to enhance their deadly nature. The swamps, wetlands, and stagnant waters are their domain, places where few would dare to tread, yet many do, unwittingly stepping into the lairs of these vicious monsters. The drowners, monsters of the water's edge. The drowners are some of the most unsettling creatures Geralt encounters in his travels. These creatures are typically depicted as humanoid figures, wretched, waterlogged bodies that resemble drowned men. Their faces are often bloated, their skin slick with algae and grime, their limbs twisted in unnatural ways. In life, they were once ordinary people, perhaps those who drowned in the swamps, victims of fate or human negligence. But in death, they are something far worse. They are cursed souls, bound to the watery depths, their humanity stripped away, leaving only hunger and malice. The drowner's primary trait is their affinity for water. They are drawn to the edges of rivers, ponds, bogs, and sewers, where they lurk, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim to wander too close. Unlike many other monsters, drowners do not stalk their prey from afar. Instead, they lurk just beneath the water's surface, waiting to strike when their victims are within reach. Their attacks are sudden, brutal, and unforgiving. The drowner's skeletal clawed hands reach up from the water to grab its prey, pulling them into the depths where the creature's body, once bloated and useless, comes to life with horrifying speed. The drowner's nature is that of an undead predator, a creature driven by hunger and thirst for life. They do not seem to possess the intelligence or malice of other monsters, but their relentlessness makes them all the more dangerous. They do not stop once they have their prey. They will drag their victims under the water, drowning them in cold, murky depths. This makes the fight against drowners particularly terrifying, not just because of their strength, but because of the ever-present threat of suffocation and drowning. For Geralt, the key to surviving an encounter with drowners is to strike quickly, cutting down the creatures before they can drag him into the water. Their movements are quick and erratic, making them difficult to track. But with his finely honed reflexes and his silver sword, Geralt can often gain the upper hand. Still, these creatures are not easily dispatched, and in large numbers they can overwhelm even the most experienced witcher. The dangers of the swamps. The environments where drowners thrive are as much of a danger as the creatures themselves. The swamps and marshes of the Witcher world are filled with peril at every turn. The terrain is treacherous, wet, unstable ground that gives way to hidden pits, mudslides, and quicksand. These areas are often low-lying, with stagnant, murky water that obscures the depths below. Even if you can avoid the creatures lurking in the water, the environment itself presents many dangers. One of the most dangerous aspects of the swamps is the low visibility. Fog is common in these areas, hanging thick in the air and making it nearly impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. This not only disorients those who venture into the swamp, but also hides the dangers beneath the surface. It is easy to walk directly into the territory of the drowners, unaware that danger lurks beneath the water, waiting to strike. The swamp is also home to numerous other dangers that make it a perilous environment for anyone unprepared. The muddy, boggy ground is difficult to traverse, often slowing down travelers and making them vulnerable to sudden attacks. The drowners may not be the only threat in the water. Creatures like necrophages, grave hags, and water hags also make their home in these murky depths, each more dangerous than the last. But the drowners, with their overwhelming numbers and their ability to drag victims into the depths, are perhaps the most persistent and deadly. For Geralt, navigating these swamps is no easy task. Not only must he contend with the dangerous creatures that call these areas home, but he must also be wary of the traps the environment itself presents. When night falls and the fog thickens, the dangers of the swamp become even more pronounced. The drowners are at their most active at night, when the darkness and fog provide them with cover. It is in these moments that they strike, often in the dead of night, when the only sound is the gentle lapping of water against the shore and the distant calls of unseen creatures. Geralt must remain vigilant, never letting his guard down, for the swamps are a place where danger is ever present, lurking just beyond the reach of his senses. To survive in these hostile environments, Geralt relies on his deep knowledge of the monsters he faces, his quick reflexes, and his witcher signs. He knows that fire, especially from his ignite sign, can help him fight back against the waterlogged creatures. Fire burns away the excess moisture and creates a light source in the darkness, preventing the drowners from getting too close without being burned. Additionally, Geralt's hardy sign, with its telekinetic force, can be used to knock back drowners that attempt to grab him, giving him the space to strike back with his silver sword. Yet, even with his vast arsenal of magic and combat skills, Geralt knows that the swamps are a place where overconfidence is a deadly mistake. The drowners are relentless, and the terrain itself is treacherous. There is no room for error, as even a small misstep can lead to disaster. It is a constant struggle between man and nature, between Geralt's will to survive and the ever-present, ever-growing dangers that seek to pull him into the watery grave of the swamp. In the end, drowners are a reminder of the dark, hidden forces at work in the world of the Witcher. They are monsters, yes, but they are also a manifestation of the natural world's indifference to human life. The swamp is a place of death and rebirth, where the line between the living and the dead is impossibly thin. And, for Geralt, the fight against drowners is a reminder that even in a world filled with magic, monsters, and tragedy, survival often comes down to the simple act of keeping one's feet on solid ground. Ancient gods and Lovecraftian influences, Denan and the cults, the world of The Witcher is filled with creatures of unimaginable horror, but there are few that evoke the deep, cosmic dread seen in Lovecraftian horror. Among these, Denan, an ancient, godlike entity lurking at the bottom of the deepest waters, stands as one of the most terrifying and mysterious beings in the Witcher universe. While many of the creatures Geralt faces are more traditional monsters, Denan embodies the incomprehensible fear of the unknown, something that transcends mortal understanding and reaches into the eldritch horrors of the deep. Denan is an ancient being, an entity far removed from the realm of men, worshipped by a cult of underwater creatures known as the Vodan Noi. It is in Denan's myth and the cult's disturbing rituals that we see the clear influence of Lovecraftian horror, where the terror lies not in what is known, but in what cannot be understood. Denan, the god of the deep waters. Denan, unlike other monsters in the Witcher world, is not just a creature or a mere beast. It is a god of unimaginable power, a being that transcends the known world. This eldritch entity is described as an ancient being that dwells beneath the waters, lying dormant at the bottom of a lake, far from human civilization. The exact nature of Denan is unclear, with its true form being hidden from mortal eyes. It is said to exist in a plane beyond the comprehension of humankind, a realm where the laws of reality bend and twist in ways that would drive any human mad. The Vodan Noi, a race of intelligent fish-like creatures who reside in the depths, of the lake worship Denan as a god, believing that one day the stars will align, bringing forth the arrival of their dark master. These beings, shrouded in mystery and secrecy, have devoted themselves to the cult of Denan for centuries. They view the god as a figure of power and destruction, one who will one day emerge from the depths and reign over the world. This worship, however, is not out of mere reverence. It is out of fear and desperation. The Vodan Noi believe that Denan has the ability to control their fates and grant them unimaginable power, but only if they perform the appropriate, twisted rituals. Denan's influence stretches far beyond the Vodan Noi, affecting not only the creatures who worship it but also the surrounding environment. The area around Denan's resting place is described as a place of unnatural fog, where the very air seems to be thick with decay and rot. The creatures of this realm, the foglets, the Leyens, and other horrors, serve Denan in some capacity, either out of fear or reverence, acting as its agents on the mortal plane. These beings, once ordinary monsters, are imbued with a sense of purpose and direction that comes from their connection to Denan. They are not just mindless creatures. They are servants of a far greater, more terrifying power. The cult's worship and the horror of Denan. The cult surrounding Denan is not one of open worship, but rather one built on fear, secrecy, and dark rituals. The Vodan Noi and their human worshippers believe that Denan is a god who must be appeased, though the true cost of such worship is not fully understood. The rituals surrounding Denan's worship are ancient and forbidden, often involving sacrifices of both human and non-human lives. The Vodan Noi, with their grotesque, fish-like appearance, perform these rituals in the deepest, most secluded parts of the lake, far from the prying eyes of the world. These rituals are chilling and unsettling in their nature. The worshippers believe that by offering up sacrifices, be they captured souls, willing or unwilling, their god will be pleased and grant them power. The cultists often chant in a strange, incomprehensible language, calling out to Denan in a bid to wake it from its slumber. But the nature of these rituals is not just about gaining favor. They are about binding the worshippers to Denan, ensuring their place in the god's future reign. The Vodan Noi see themselves not as mere followers, but as servants who will one day rise with Denan to claim dominion over the world. The connection between Denan and its worshippers is one of symbiosis, though a terrifying and unbalanced one. The cult does not just revere Denan. It becomes a part of their very being, consuming their minds and souls. Those who partake in these rituals are often twisted by the god's influence, their bodies and minds changing over time. These mutations are not just physical. They affect the very essence of who they are, turning them into something darker, more monstrous. Some cultists speak of visions they experience, glimpses of Denan's power, and the horrors that await when it rises from the depths. These visions are enough to drive most men mad, but the Vodan Noi embrace them, seeing them as a necessary step toward their god's return. The horror of Denan is not just in its appearance, though that is certainly enough to unnerve even the bravest of men. It is in the unknown. Like many Lovecraftian horrors, Denan represents an entity beyond human understanding, a creature whose motivations are incomprehensible and whose power is too vast for any mortal to fathom. The god does not simply threaten the world with physical destruction. It threatens to unravel the very fabric of reality itself, The cultists' blind devotion to Denan is a reflection of their desperation and their willingness to sacrifice everything for a power they cannot control. The horror of Denan, and by extension, the horror of the cult that worships it, lies in its mysterious and terrifying nature. It is a dark force, an ancient power waiting to emerge from the depths, and Geralt, as always, stands as the one who must face it. But even Geralt, with his vast knowledge and experience, is not immune to the terror that Denan represents. It is a force that challenges not just the body, but the mind itself, an unknowable presence lurking beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to rise and bring the world to its knees. In many ways, Denan is the epitome of the Witcher. Lovecraftian influence, a being so vast and incomprehensible that it can only be feared, not understood. The Vodannoi and their dark rituals serve as a chilling reminder of the price of worshipping such ancient alien gods. For them, there is no escape from the horrors they have invoked, only the grim hope that their god will rise and grant them power. But for Geralt, it is another dark chapter in his never-ending quest to rid the world of monsters, no matter how deep or how ancient they may be, shapeshifters and werewolves. In the world of The Witcher, where dark magic and terrifying beasts are commonplace, few monsters carry the tragic weight of the werewolf, and the shapeshifters that walk the line between humanity and monstrosity. These creatures are not merely beasts driven by instinct. They are tormented souls bound by an ancient curse, forever changing as the full moon rises in the night sky. Werewolves and other lycanthropes embody a unique blend of human and beast, caught in a cycle of transformation that turns them into savage predators. Their curse is not only one of physical mutation, but of emotional torment, locked in a constant battle for control between their human minds and their ferocious, animalistic instincts. As Geralt has learned, battling these creatures requires more than just skill with a sword. It requires understanding the heart of a beast struggling to escape its curse. The curse of lycanthropy. The curse of lycanthropy is as old as time itself, a dark and tragic affliction that transforms its victim from human to beast, typically during the full moon. But unlike other monsters in the Witcher universe, lycanthropes are not born as creatures of the night. They are human beings who have been cursed by dark magic, either through a spell or the blood of another werewolf. The curse twists the body and mind, leaving its victims to roam the world in two forms. One human, the other a terrifying wolf-like beast. However, there is no peace in either form. The werewolf's human side is constantly at war with the wolf, its primal urges driving it to commit acts of violence, while the beast's ferocity fights to suppress the human consciousness. In many ways, the werewolf's condition is a metaphor for the duality of human nature, the internal struggle between reason and instinct, civilization and savagery. This torment is what makes lycanthropy so tragic. The victims of this curse are not evil by nature. Rather, they are individuals who have been irreparably altered by dark forces. They are people trapped within their own bodies, struggling to maintain control over their actions. The curse is a prison that holds the person's mind captive, forcing them into a grotesque transformation that strips them of their humanity, if only for a short time. Werewolves are often depicted as fierce, bloodthirsty predators who act purely on instinct during their transformations. However, beneath the violence lies the human soul, desperate for freedom. Many werewolves try to resist the pull of their transformation, but the curse is too strong. As the moon rises, their humanity slips away, leaving only a creature driven by bloodlust and rage. The transformation is agonizing, both physically and emotionally, leaving the afflicted to wake in the aftermath with no memory of what they've done. For many, the consequences of their actions are too much to bear, and they can no longer recognize the line between man and monster. The hunt for a werewolf. One of the most tragic and haunting tales in the Witcher series is the story of Ada, a princess cursed to become a striga, a terrifying monster that embodies the consequences of lycanthropy taken to its darkest extreme. Ada's story is not just one of transformation, but of redemption and heartbreak. Born a human, Ada was cursed before birth, her fate sealed by the twisted desires of her father, King Fest of Temeria. In a tragic turn, Ada was born in tune with her deceased mother's corpse, an unnatural connection that led to a violent and catastrophic curse that bound her to the form of a striga, a monster with the strength and fury of a beast, but with the heart of a human still trapped within. The curse of Ada is different from that of a traditional werewolf. While a werewolf's transformation is tied to the full moon, Ada's curse forced her into a permanent transformation, turning her into a savage, bloodthirsty creature. The striga was a beast of pure aggression, driven by the need to feed and destroy. But unlike many other monsters, Ada retained the ability to think and feel, though those emotions were buried beneath layers of rage and madness. She was no longer the princess she once was, but a twisted version of her former self, lost in the monster she had become. Geralt's encounter with Ada is one of the most poignant and tragic moments in his career as a witcher. Ada's transformation was not just a battle with a monstrous beast. It was a battle against the curse that held her captive. Geralt, understanding the nature of the curse, knew that the only way to break it was to force Ada to confront her humanity and restore the lost connection to her true self. Geralt's expertise in curses and magic made him the only one capable of breaking these strigas. Bold, but it was not a simple task. The process involved great risks, including exposing Ada to the full moon, a moment of vulnerability that could either break the curse or drive her deeper into madness. In a desperate attempt to save Ada from her monstrous form, Geralt used his knowledge of the curse to create a ritual that would force her to remain in human form until the third crow of the rooster, an act that would break the curse entirely if successful. The ritual was dangerous, and the stakes were high, but Geralt's quick thinking and unyielding determination were matched by the horror of facing a beast that, at its core, was once human. As the transformation took place, Geralt fought with everything he had, using his witcher signs and skills to hold Ada back and stop the curse from overwhelming her. It was a battle not only against the monster but against the tragedy of what she had become. In the end, Geralt was able to lift the curse. Though the toll it took on Ada was immense, the cure was not a simple reversal. It was a painful and costly process, one that left Ada emotionally scarred, but also freed her from the curse that had stolen her humanity. Her transformation back into a human was a bittersweet moment, as she was no longer the princess she once was, but someone forever changed by the darkness that had consumed her. Geralt's encounter with Ada is a powerful reminder of the tragic nature of lycanthropy. It is not just a curse that transforms the body. It is a curse that ravages the soul, leaving behind a person torn between two worlds. The werewolf's struggle is not one of physical strength, but of identity, who they are versus what they've become. The hunt for a werewolf is not just a battle against a monster, but a fight for the lost humanity that still resides within the beast. It is a conflict that Geralt, as a witcher, understands deeply, a conflict that echoes through every encounter with these tragic creatures who are neither fully man nor fully monster, but something in between. The Godlings, mischievous protectors of the land, in the world of The Witcher, where danger lurks around every corner and monsters take on many forms, there exists a unique class of beings that defy traditional categorization. These creatures are not simply beasts or demons. They are ancient and enigmatic protectors tied to the very land they inhabit. The Godlings are one such mysterious and misunderstood group. Often appearing as innocent, childlike figures, Godlings possesses an age-old wisdom and a deep connection to the natural world. Despite their youthful appearance, Godlings have lived for centuries, watching over the land, ensuring that the balance of nature is maintained. These beings are not evil, nor are they purely benevolent. They exist in a delicate balance with their own set of rules that govern their interactions with humanity. The mysterious Godlings. Godlings are creatures that often appear as small, childlike beings, but their appearance is deceiving. With pale blue skin and large, innocent eyes, they resemble human children, innocent, curious, and full of wonder. However, this resemblance is superficial, as Godlings are ancient beings with knowledge and powers far beyond human understanding. They are often mistaken for supernatural children or even spirits, but in truth, they are deeply tied to the land they protect, existing as silent guardians of nature's balance. The Godlings' roles in the world of The Witcher are subtle but significant. They are not warriors or killers like the other monsters that roam the world. Instead, their existence serves to protect and nurture the natural world around them. Their influence can be felt in the quiet, unseen forces of the wilderness, the growth of crops, the safety of livestock, the harmony of nature. They work behind the scenes, ensuring that the natural order is not disrupted by the meddling hands of humans or other supernatural forces. They are, in essence, the quiet caretakers of the land. While their primary role is protective, Godlings are not beings that seek fame or recognition. They are elusive and prefer to remain hidden, only revealing themselves to those they deem worthy of their attention. This often includes children who are drawn to the Godlings' innocent appearance and sense of wonder. However, their interactions with humans are not always as simple as a child's play. Godlings are highly intelligent and have their own set of rules, many of which are dictated by the natural world they protect. They are not bound by human logic or morals, and their actions, though seemingly harmless, can sometimes lead to unexpected consequences. The power and consequences of the Godlings' gifts. Despite their childlike appearance, Godlings are far from harmless. Their gifts, though powerful, come at a price, and the relationship between humans and Godlings is a delicate one. The land they protect is sacred to them, and they will go to great lengths to ensure that it remains undisturbed. Godlings are not known for being particularly aggressive, but they will not hesitate to take action against those who threaten the natural world. For those who respect the land and live in harmony with it, Godlings can be powerful allies, offering protection, prosperity, and a safeguard against the dangers of the wilderness. However, for those who take the land for granted or exploit its resources without regard for the balance, the Godling's gifts can quickly turn into curses. A Godling's protection is not without conditions. The creatures ask for little in return, but they demand respect for the land and its natural processes. When humans act carelessly, taking more than they need, or harming the environment in selfish ways, the Godlings can withdraw their gifts, leaving those who once relied on their protection to face the harsh consequences of their actions. The price for the Godlings' protection is often subtle, but it is there. Those who wish to benefit from their favor must offer small tokens of appreciation, trinkets, food, or tools left in the wild. These offerings, though seemingly trivial, serve as a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and nature. The Godlings do not ask for extravagant gifts or sacrifices. Instead, they require a simple acknowledgement of the interconnectedness of all things in the world. When this balance is disturbed, however, the Godlings' gifts can quickly become twisted. The crops that once flourished may wither, the livestock may fall ill, and the land itself may turn barren. The Godlings' influence can bring either abundance or ruin, depending on the treatment they receive from those who rely on them. In one of the more poignant stories of the Godlings, they are shown to offer protection to a village, ensuring that it prospers, but only so long as the villagers continue to live in accordance with the natural order. When a human breaks this harmony, whether through greed, disrespect, or neglect, the Godlings withdraw their gifts, and the village faces the consequences. The crops fail, the water runs dry, and the people suffer, all because they failed to honor the sacred relationship between themselves and the land. It is a reminder that the Godlings are not mere servants of humanity, but powerful beings with their own agenda, one that is deeply tied to the health and well-being of the earth itself. Geralt, ever the observer of the world around him, understands the nature of the Godlings' gifts. He recognizes that their protection is not something to be taken for granted, but rather something that must be respected and cherished. His encounters with these creatures are always marked by a sense of awe and wariness, as he knows that the Godlings are not bound to any one individual. They serve the land, and if one wishes to benefit from their presence, they must learn to live in harmony with the natural world. In many ways, the Godlings are a reflection of the balance between humanity and nature that exists in The Witcher. They are protectors, yes, but they are also a reminder of the consequences that come when that balance is disturbed. The Godlings' gifts are not free, and those who fail to honor the land will find themselves facing the wrath of nature itself. Through their mischievous nature and quiet power, Godlings remind us that we are all part of a greater system, one that must be respected if we are to survive and thrive. The elusive Leshen, guardians of the deep woods. In the dense, ancient forests of the Witcher world, where shadows stretch for miles and the trees whisper secrets older than time itself, few creatures command the fear and respect of the land. Like the Leshen, these enigmatic beings are not simply monsters. They are the guardians of the wild, embodying the raw, untamed forces of nature. with their towering, imposing forms, crowned with branches and twigs, and eyes that seem to glow with an otherworldly light. Leshens are both revered and feared by those who dwell near the ancient forests they protect. The Leshen is a being of pure natural power, its very existence tied to the land it protects. They are born from the deep, primal forces of the forest, acting as the keepers of balance within their domain. Their form is a haunting mixture of man and beast, a humanoid figure draped in bark and branches, with antlers that curl like twisted trees, creating an almost spectral appearance. These creatures blend seamlessly into the forest, their bodies becoming one with the surrounding nature, camouflaged in the very woods they call home. While not all creatures of the wild are as dangerous or malicious as the Leshen, the power this guardian exerts over the land is immense. A Leshen is the embodiment of the forest's spirit, tasked with protecting its secrets and maintaining the natural order. Their immense power allows them to control the very environment around them, manipulating the trees, summoning creatures of the forest, and weaving dark magic to ward off intruders. The Leshen's control over the land is so absolute that it can command the trees to uproot themselves, creating barriers of living wood to trap those who dare venture too far into its territory. The Curse of the Leshen's Domain. The presence of a Leshen in the forest is a sign of both awe and dread for the villagers living on the edge of its domain. To the common folk, the Leshen is not just a monster to be feared, but a dark force to be respected. For generations, villages situated near these vast, untamed forests have lived in fear of crossing the invisible line that marks the boundary of the Leshen's domain. Many who venture too deep into the woods, especially during the night, are at risk of attracting the Leshen's wrath, and the consequences of angering it are often deadly. Villagers speak in hushed tones of the Leshen's curse, a supernatural affliction that hangs over the forests it controls. It is said that anyone who disrespects the forest or threatens its balance will be punished by the Leshen. This curse is not a mere superstition. It is very real. Those who enter the Leshen's domain without permission are often met with horrific fates. Travelers and hunters who stray too far from the beaten path have been known to vanish, their bodies later found mangled or left in strange positions, as if the forest itself had claimed them. It is rumored that the Leshen can manipulate the very land itself, causing paths to disappear and turning even the most seasoned wanderers around in circles until they are lost forever. Some believe that the Leshen's power can even summon forest creatures, wolves, bears, and the like, to hunt down those who encroach upon its domain. The fear of the Leshen has led to an unspoken truce between the people and the forest. Villages near Leshen territories often offer small, respectful tributes to the creatures, sacrifices of food, trinkets, or tools, hoping to appease the guardian and avoid its wrath. These offerings are left at the edge of the forest, where the villagers pray that the Leshen will allow them to pass safely, using the woods for hunting or gathering, but never daring to push too far. To break this delicate peace would be to invite the Leshen's wrath upon the entire village. The Leshen's domain is not only a physical place, but a psychological one, a realm where fear of the unknown and respect for the ancient forces of nature dominate the minds of those who live in its shadow. For many, the very thought of the Leshen brings a cold chill down their spine. The Leshen is a reminder that nature is not just something to be tamed. It is a living, breathing force that must be respected, lest it turn against those who dare disturb its equilibrium. For Geralt, encountering a Leshen is a daunting task, as these creatures are not easily slain. Their power over nature makes them incredibly dangerous opponents, and their ability to summon forces of the wild to fight on their behalf adds an additional layer of threat. Only through careful planning, knowledge of the forest, and the use of witcher signs does Geralt stand a chance against the Leshen. The battle against a Leshen is not just a physical fight, it is a test of willpower and strategy, as Geralt must outwit a creature that is deeply connected to the very world around it. In the end, the Leshen is a creature of both beauty and terror, an ancient force of nature whose presence is felt as much in the heart as in the mind. It is a reminder that the wilderness is not to be tamed, but respected, and that the balance of nature, if disturbed, can bring forth consequences far more terrifying than any man-made monster. Succubi and Incubi, creatures of desire and passion, in the world of The Witcher, where monsters and dark creatures roam freely. Some of the most dangerous beings are those that do not rely solely on physical strength or monstrous appearances to ensnare their prey. Succubi and Incubi, the masters of temptation, are among the most alluring and deadly creatures. These beings are not just monsters. They are embodiments of desire and passion, preying on the deepest, most vulnerable emotions of their victims. Their beauty and charm mask the terrifying nature of their power, which lies not in physical might, but in their ability to seduce, manipulate, and ultimately drain the life force from those who fall under their spell. Succubi and Incubi, masters of temptation. Succubi and Incubi are often thought of as demonic figures, but in the Witcher universe, they are much more complex. These creatures are shapeshifters, capable of taking on the appearance of anyone their target desires, often appearing as beautiful women, succubi, or men, incubi. Their purpose is not to kill in the traditional sense, but to drain the life force of their victims through intense, irresistible sexual encounters. Unlike the mindless bloodsuckers that roam the world, succubi and incubi are cunning, intelligent, and calculated in their actions. Their powers are rooted in their ability to manipulate desire itself. With a mere touch or a sultry whisper, they can control the emotions and actions of those around them. For a brief moment, their victims are consumed by overwhelming passion, an irresistible craving that clouds their judgment and lowers their defenses. The succubus or incubus will then feed off this energy, draining the life force from their prey until nothing remains but an empty husk. Though many believe that succubi and incubi are simply demons of lust, there is more to them than meets the eye. These creatures are not mindless forces of destruction. They are skilled manipulators, using their charm and beauty to weave a web of temptation that entraps even the most disciplined individuals. Their ability to control the minds and hearts of others is both their greatest weapon and their most terrifying trait. They are creatures of passion, but their passions are not for love or affection. They are driven by the need to feed, to consume the essence of their victims, leaving them drained and lifeless. The dangerous allure of a succubus. The succubus, in particular, is a creature whose allure is as dangerous as it is intoxicating. With her mesmerizing beauty and seductive aura, she can charm anyone into her grasp. What makes the succubus so deadly is not just her appearance, but her ability to influence the very thoughts and desires of her victims. Those who encounter a succubus are often entranced by her beauty, unable to resist her advances. She embodies the fantasy of the perfect lover, making it nearly impossible for her victims to see the danger lurking beneath the surface. For the seasoned witcher, like Geralt, the succubus presents a unique challenge. Geralt, who has faced countless monsters and creatures throughout his career, is not easily swayed by simple physical allure. However, even he is not immune to the overwhelming power of the succubus. These creatures are not only capable of manipulating desire, they can also affect the mind, twisting the victim's thoughts and emotions. In a state of obsession, the victim is entirely vulnerable, making them easy prey for the succubus's deadly embrace. Succubi often seek out isolated individuals, those who are alone and vulnerable, perhaps struggling with personal desires or loneliness. They find such targets easy to manipulate, luring them into a false sense of security with promises of fulfillment and satisfaction. Once ensnared, the victim is unable to break free from the succubus's grip. It is only through sheer willpower and the ability to resist temptation that a person might avoid the succubus's clutches. But this is far easier said than done. For Geralt, facing the succubus requires more than just his sword or magic. He must use his knowledge of her nature and his mental fortitude to resist the urge to fall prey to her charms. Witcher signs like Axi, a mind-altering sign that can calm or confuse creatures, can be a powerful tool in subduing a succubus. But even this might not be enough to break the hold she has on her victim. Combat with a succubus is a battle of wills, as much as it is a physical confrontation. What makes the succubus so dangerous is her ability to manipulate the deepest, most primal parts of the human psyche. She is not merely a physical threat. She is a manifestation of the darker side of human desire, feeding on the vulnerability of the soul. The longer the succubus holds her prey in her thrall, the more she feeds, until there is nothing left but a shell of the person they once were. For those who fall victim to the succubus, escape is often impossible. The damage done is not just to the body, but to the spirit itself. Those who survive such encounters may find themselves empty, hollowed out, as if a part of them has been taken forever. The succubus does not merely drain life, she takes something far more precious, the essence of the individual. In the world of The Witcher, succubi and incubi are creatures of both allure and horror. They are the embodiment of temptation, using desire as a weapon to drain their victims of both life and soul. Geralt's encounters with them serve as a reminder of the seductive dangers that lurk in the shadows, beautiful, dangerous, and ultimately deadly. The Griffin, the fierce, apex predator, in the wilds of the Witcher world, where monstrous creatures roam free, few beasts can match the deadly elegance of the Griffin, a fierce apex predator that strikes fear into the hearts of those who encounter it. This hybrid creature is a terrifying combination of two of nature's most powerful predators, the Yalid lion and the Yar eagle. The Griffin possesses the muscular, formidable body of a lion, built for strength and agility, combined with the majestic wings of an eagle, granting it the ability to soar through the skies with deadly precision. It is a creature made to hunt and dominate, its terrifying power amplified by its fierce territorial nature. Griffins are not your typical beasts. Their immense strength combined with the sharpness of their talons and the power of their beak make them formidable foes. They are apex predators that reign supreme in their territories, hunting with ruthless efficiency. These creatures are not only physically imposing, but also highly intelligent, with a keen sense of smell and extraordinary vision that allows them to detect prey from great distances. Griffins are highly territorial, often found in isolated, rugged landscapes where they can reign unchecked. They protect their nests fiercely, attacking anyone who dares to venture too close. The Griffin's hybrid nature gives it a unique advantage in battle. Its lion body is a symbol of power and tenacity, capable of crushing bones and tearing through flesh with its mighty paws and jaws. But it is its eagle-like wings and beak that set it apart. The Griffin can take to the air at a moment's notice, using its sharp talons to strike from above, often catching its prey off guard. It's a hunter that uses both the ground and the sky to its advantage, making it nearly impossible to avoid once it has locked onto a target. The dangers of encountering a Griffin. Encounters with a Griffin are always fraught with danger, especially for a seasoned witcher like Geralt. These beasts are not easily subdued, and the tactics required to defeat them are far from straightforward. Griffins are extremely territorial and will attack anyone who trespasses into their domain. Often, without warning, they prefer to strike from above, diving down at lightning speed to disorient their prey before delivering a fatal blow with their powerful talons or beak. The Griffin's aerial advantage makes it particularly dangerous. It can swoop down from great heights with incredible speed, delivering a strike that can instantly cripple or kill its target. Geralt, knowing this, must be prepared to deal with the Griffin's superior mobility. A witcher's normal tactics, relying on swordplay and close-range combat, are insufficient against such a swift and agile predator. To survive, Geralt must use both his wits and his extensive knowledge of the beast's hunting patterns. The key to defeating a Griffin lies in understanding its behavior and exploiting its weaknesses. While it is a powerful creature, the Griffin is not invincible. Its territorial nature means that it will often focus all its attention on protecting its nest, leaving it vulnerable to distractions and attacks. Geralt knows that he must keep the Griffin engaged while minimizing his own exposure to its deadly strikes. One of his main strategies involves the use of Witcher signs, particularly the Inni sign, which conjures a burst of flame. By using Igni, Geralt can create a distraction, forcing the Griffin to retreat momentarily, giving him the chance to strike. The Griffin's primary weakness is its tendency to underestimate smaller, quicker foes, and Geralt must exploit this flaw by remaining unpredictable and evasive. Geralt's use of bombs like Grape Shot or Samum also plays a crucial role in taking down a Griffin. These explosives can disorient and stun the creature, making it easier for the Witcher to land a decisive blow. Additionally, Draconid oil is a critical part of Geralt's preparation when facing a Griffin, as it is specifically designed to weaken the beast and increase the effectiveness of his sword strikes. The Griffin's armor-like hide is tough and resilient, making it difficult for Geralt's standard steel sword to make a significant impact. Instead, Geralt relies on silver, the Witcher's preferred weapon for dealing with magical or monstrous creatures. Silver swords, coated with appropriate oils, are essential for cutting through the Griffin's tough exterior. But even with the right tools, a fight with a Griffin is far from guaranteed. It requires precision, quick thinking, and a deep understanding of the creature's movements. The battle itself is a test of endurance and strategy. The Griffin can quickly wear down even the most experienced Witcher with its relentless attacks, forcing Geralt to remain agile and calculated. One false move could mean a swift death, either by the Griffin's talons or its deadly beak. For Geralt, it is a fight not only for survival, but for the protection of the innocent who may unknowingly wander into the Griffin's territory. Ultimately, defeating a Griffin is a triumph of the Witcher's skill, experience, and understanding of the natural world. The creature is a symbol of the wild, powerful, untamable, and dangerous. But with the right preparation and a keen mind, even the fiercest of apex predators can be brought down. Geralt's encounter with the Griffin is a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and the untamed forces of nature, where the struggle for dominance is often as much about survival as it is about respecting the power of the world around us. Conclusion: the hunt continues. In the world of The Witcher, the hunt is never truly over. Every day, Geralt of Rivia and his fellow Witchers venture into the unknown, facing creatures of all shapes and sizes, from the horrifying undead to the ancient, godlike beings that lurk in forgotten corners of the world. It is a never-ending battle, one that requires not only the strength of steel and the power of magic, but the sharpness of mind and an unwavering will to survive. The creatures that inhabit this dark fantasy universe are as varied and unpredictable as the land itself, each encounter a reminder of the constant struggle between humanity and the monstrous forces that seek to tear it apart. Witchers like Geralt are bound to this endless battle, their lives defined by the monsters they hunt. Yet, it is not just the creatures themselves that define the Witcher's existence. It is the choices they make, the lines they walk between good and evil, and the delicate balance between what is right and what is necessary for survival. Each monster they face is a unique challenge, requiring different strategies, tools, and approaches. Some are simple, mindless beasts, while others are cunning and capable of manipulating the very emotions of their prey. Some, like the Leshen or the Succubi, are creatures of desire and power, while others, like the ghouls and drowners, are twisted reflections of the human soul, corrupted by magic or death. But no matter the creature, the fight is always the same. It is a fight for survival, a fight to protect the innocent, and a fight to keep the balance of nature intact. Witchers are not heroes in the traditional sense. They are not saviors, nor are they saints. They are simply men who are forced to live in a world where monsters are real and only the strongest can survive. The monsters they hunt may come in all forms, physical, emotional, and supernatural, but they are all part of a larger, darker world where danger lurks around every corner, and the line between good and evil is often blurred beyond recognition. As Geralt continues his journey, battling these creatures, he is constantly reminded that there is no end to the hunt. For every monster he defeats, another rises to take its place. And while Witchers may kill many beasts, they can never rid the world of the darkness that breeds them. The hunt will always continue, as long as there are creatures to slay, and as long as witches like Geralt walk the earth, a call to adventure. But now, we turn to you, fellow adventurers, as we've explored some of the terrifying and awe-inspiring creatures of the Witcher. We invite you to share your thoughts. Which Witcher monster has intrigued or terrified you the most? From the intelligent and dangerous vampires to the mysterious Godlings, each creature offers a unique glimpse into the dark and magical world that Geralt inhabits. Do you have a favorite creature that you think deserves more attention? Or perhaps you have an encounter of your own that you would like to share? A time when a particular monster in the Witcher world left a lasting impression on you. Whether it's the terrifying Leshen, the seductive Succubus, or the mighty Griffin, we want to hear your stories, theories, and thoughts on the creatures that make this universe so rich and captivating. So, join the conversation below. Let's discuss the beasts that make the Witcher universe so memorable, and together, let's keep the hunt alive. Until next time, adventurer, may your sword stay sharp and your path be free from the creatures of the night. The hunt never ends.